What could be cooler than going to the beach on a hot day? The water, the sun, the girls? No, the coolest thing to do is to go to the beach right after a storm. That's when you can find the most incredible things on the shore. For example, a car. Or this treasure worth $600,000. How about a huge $1 billion oil platform? Believe me, that's not even the strangest thing that's been found on a beach. Before we dive into 15 of the most incredible things washed ashore, subscribe to the channel and click on the notification bell. Then you will definitely find something valuable on your next beach trip. Have you ever seen a real ghost ship? This 80-meter boat was found just in the middle of the coast by residents of the fishing village of Ballycotton in Ireland. The ship didn't suffer any damage at all after hitting the coastal rocks, but that's nothing, because the Alta sailed without a crew for 18 months and remains unharmed. This is considered to be a 1 in a million case, because the ship departed from Greece back in 2018 and was heading for Bermuda. There was a technical glitch on board, and the crew spent 20 days on the drifting ship without electricity before being evacuated. The ship was abandoned in the ocean, and it continued sailing for almost 2 more years until the powerful storm Dennis threw it onto the Irish coast. This is how ghost ship movies start. It's still unknown who the owner of the ship is and what kind of cargo was on board. Inhabitants of the Netherlands hit the real jackpot. The contents of an entire Walmart store ended up on their shore. Among the finds were working plasma TVs, designer jackets, chairs from IKEA, and hundreds of My Little Pony dolls. It turned out that the MSC Zoe, one of the largest cargo ships in the world, fell victim to some rough and rolling waters and lost a significant part of its cargo. A whole 270 containers with equipment and other valuables inside were washed ashore. The best thing about it is that by law, the locals can keep whatever they find on the beach. This 4-meter torpedo from a combat submarine is capable of sinking an enemy ship in a matter of seconds. The shell washed ashore on the coast of Lithuania. Based on its markings, it was established that it was a PMR-2 anti-submarine mine missile from a Russian submarine. Sorry to disappoint all you pyromaniacs and fireworks fans out there, the torpedo just turned out to be a training torpedo. No explosions this time. This next discovery will make motorists cry. This Jeep washed up in the waves off the coast of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina during Hurricane Dorian. It immediately became a local sensation, and you can see it for yourself. Just use the hashtag DorianJeepMemes. And while the entire internet community was posting memes, the owner of the car had no idea what had happened to it. It turned out that he had lent the car to his cousin, who had kept a secret from the owner that he had gone to the beach during the storm. The car got stuck in the wet sand, and the cousin abandoned the Jeep Grand Cherokee on the beach. Now, the Jeep looks something like this. They found a real mermaid on this Mexican beach. Check it out. Its face looks just like a human's, and instead of legs, it has a fishtail. The mermaid turned out to be a doll made specifically for the movie Pirates of the Caribbean. During filming in 2011, it was lost to the ocean and washed ashore 3 years later. What would you do if you found a doll like this on the beach? Write it in the comments.
Look what we caught, Joe.
The way they remove beached whales in Oregon will blow your mind. In 1970, a sperm whale was found on the shore. It was 14 meters long and weighed 8 tons. The local authorities couldn't think of anything better than blowing it up. But no one knew exactly how much explosive ordnance it would take, so they used a half-ton of dynamite. What could go wrong? Absolutely everything. The pieces were scattered as far as 400 meters and fell directly onto parked cars. Try explaining that to your insurance. But what if there are 416 whales? No, not that. 416 whales. That's how many were found on the shores of Golden Bay, New Zealand. All residents of the city were asked to leave work and school to help rescue the survivors. During a high tide, 100 whales were returned home, but 90 of them returned to the coast again soon after. The volunteers had to line up in a human chain and literally keep the whales from reaching the shore. The problem turned out to be that the whales couldn't find their way in shallow water and couldn't swim out of the bay without a partner, so they kept returning to their pod ashore. These are images from a horror movie. This monster was actually washed ashore on an island in Indonesia. The 15-meter sea creature was 6 to 7 meters wide and weighed 35 tons. The locals initially figured it to be an overturned boat, but then the wild theories started flying. Because of its huge tusks, the creature looked like an elephant, but because of its massive jaw, it looked like a dinosaur. Local news claimed that a giant squid had been found due to tentacle-like appendages. The news channels kept the hype up as long as they could until biologists arrived at the scene and established that the monster was a whale whose body had been distorted beyond recognition by decomposition. Imagine finding whale vomit on the beach. Would you just walk past such an abomination? Too bad, because for just 1 kilogram, you could get paid $37,000. While removing trash from a beach in Thailand, a man named Suraket found a 16-kilogram lump of this substance. His discovery was estimated to be worth an amazing $592,000. It's called ambergris, and it is produced in the intestines of whales. An extremely rare raw material that is highly valued in perfume. It is used to help aromas last longer, and if you can smell your perfume right now, then congratulations, you've sprayed whale vomit on yourself. The last thing you expect to see on the beach is a massive oil rig worth $1 billion. In New Zealand, there was such a strong storm that the waves tore the 17-ton structure from a tugboat and sent it sailing. The oil platform, named Transocean Winner, managed to float several kilometers before arriving at Dalmore Beach in New Zealand. It couldn't be left on the shore because of the 280 tons of diesel fuel inside. Local authorities had to establish a temporary exclusion zone of 300 meters for the safety of local residents. It took 3 months to remove the structure from the beach, and an incredibly powerful ship was needed. If the rig had just been scrapped for its metal, it would have been worth $26.35 million. This mutant was found by tourists on a beach in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. It looks like a dolphin, but it has no fins, the tail is too long, and most importantly, it has no eyes. But otherwise, totally dolphin. The fishermen speculated that it might have come out of an ocean trench nearby. The trench was more than 1 kilometer deep. There is no sunshine that far down, and vision is completely useless. And this creature isn't from the sea at all. The creature's skull is similar to that of an ape, and its teeth, yuck, are just like those of a human. It could have escaped from Monkey Island, which is located 64 kilometers from where the discovery was found in South Carolina. According to locals, only monkeys live there, and the government is conducting experiments on them. An even stranger creature was found in Texas, which only vaguely resembled a fish. It looked like a snake, if not for the whole mouth of sharp teeth and no eyes. Eel specialist Dr. Kenneth Tye suggested that it was representative of a species of eel called snake eels. It makes sense because the Latin name for the species translates as terrible serpent. Have you ever seen Siamese twins among dolphins? A creepy two-headed creature washed up on a beach in Dikili. One of the heads had 2 undeveloped eyes, and the other had only one and an unopened respiratory opening. The dolphin's body length was less than a meter, and it was completely white. It's an extremely rare anomaly, but Dutch fishermen had already found a similar creature in the North Sea. On this beach, there is amber lying right beneath the feet of the locals. One stone can be worth between $300 and $700, depending on the size. After a storm, some especially large stones washed ashore. Some of them were about the size of a Zippo lighter. Not surprisingly, the inhabitants of Mechnikov village in Russia went on a vigorous hunt for some amber. Just look at this guy's find. No, this isn't Noah's Ark. It's a 60-meter barge that was carried to the coast of St. Pete Beach in Florida. A storm caused its anchors to break, and the 40-ton vessel became free-floating. It drifted in the ocean all day before washing up on a busy beach. Weather conditions had to improve before attempting to remove the barge, so it was simply fastened to a bulldozer so it wouldn't float out to sea. This fighter jet lay for 78 years on the beach under a 2-meter layer of sand. The Lockheed P-38 Lightning was washed ashore after it sank somewhere in northern Wales. Throughout history, it was only seen 3 times, in the 1970s, in 2007, and in 2014, when the waves washed over it at low tide. The exact location of the plane is kept a secret so that tourists don't disassemble it for souvenirs. On the coast of Ireland, you can find all kinds of things, but what about a 6-meter wooden boat with a strange message on its wall? Its owner was found just 3 years later in Canada. As an alternative energy enthusiast, he had installed solar panels on the boat and wanted to sail it from Newfoundland to the Arctic. But when his idea failed, he simply let the boat float away, donating to students as housing, as the message on the wall said. But he didn't expect it to float 3,120 kilometers and end up on the coast of Drum Beach. And finally, we have an iron piece of a rocket measuring 3 by 2 meters, which was found on the coast of South Carolina. The Coast Guard decided to contact Air Force and NASA, but got no response, so they posted a photo of the discovery online. They were immediately contacted by SpaceX, confirming that it was a fragment from their rocket. Presumably, it was Falcon 9, parts of which had previously been found on the coast. To the question, what do we do with such a valuable find? They got an Elon Musk-style answer. Get rid of it, or wait for us to do it. Well, that's all for today, but who knows what could be found on the beach tomorrow? Subscribe to the channel, add your likes, and you will definitely find something interesting. See you in the next video.